And welcome back to the halftime show, the Excella Health halftime show here on the Westmoreland Sports Network. Sean Meyers joined by Mark Katarski, 10 years guiding the Seton Hill women. And Mark, first off, thanks for doing this. First chance I've had to talk to you in person for this 22-23 season. Off to a good start, 8-3, including some pretty impressive wins, most recently coming off of 3 victories in Puerto Rico. To this point, I know it's still relatively early, but how have you evaluated how the season's gone?
Yeah, first of all, appreciate having you guys here and doing this. You know, it's always great to have Westmoreland Sports helping to bring this broadcast to our fans throughout, frankly, the world, you know, with our international roster. And so we thank you for that. But, no, it's been an enjoyable season. You know, we joked we've played more games in Puerto Rico than we have in the McKenna Center this year, so it's nice to be back home. But we've had varied experiences, have played in several different states, including Puerto Rico, and I think continuing to learn a lot about a team that had a lot of new faces to start the season. So, you know, each day is an opportunity, and we're grateful to have that, to just learn more and experience it together.
Yeah, you graduated so many key contributors from a year ago, and you knew that that was coming. So some players who were pretty notable do return, but you've also brought in a lot of freshman transfers who are playing at Seton Hill for the first time. How has that acclimation gone for all of them?
Yeah, well, we had name tags in the fall because 13 of our players have never played a game at Seton Hill prior to this year. And, you know, losing 8 seniors and 5 starters is certainly not ideal. But, you know, we've forever here tried to reinforce that each team is a one-year team and each season's a one-year season. And so I think because of that, it's allowed us to just stay focused on what we can and can't control and be in the moment, you know, more than worrying about, you know, what last year's team did or what we might do in the future, et cetera. And so I think those have been important pieces. And, you know, the trip to Puerto Rico, while it was great to play games and win, it also allowed this team to get to know each other as people. And I think anytime you do that, it just helps your acclimation and speeds that up.
I know it was a little over a decade ago that Seton Hill trekked down to Puerto Rico. You were not part of that, so this was a new experience for you. Yeah. I know you mentioned it's a team building in addition to getting to play some good competition. How do you kind of build the chemistry? How do you see it also evolve naturally?
Yeah, well, I think it's, you know, trying to find a mix to your point. You know, there are situations where you as coach try to create it. Those can be everything from icebreaker stuff, you know, off-the-floor activities, trips, etc., but also what you do in practice every day, you know, mixing up the teams who they're with, trying to get some competition, etc., to just let them have different opportunities to interact with one another. And then games ultimately are going to make a difference too. Those are shared experiences that we have with each other and learn. But, you know, as coaches, we make mistakes and sort of who plays where and when and how much and all of that, but those are all things that hopefully our group has the team in mind overall and knows that we do as well, and, you know, that we're all pushing towards the same thing.
To have success, obviously, you need some veterans to step up and have some leadership from those upperclassmen. And you have a couple of seniors in Courtney Thomas and Maddie Moore, and then Allie Cito, who's playing at Seton Hill for the first time, but went through 4 years in the President's Athletic Conference at W&J. How have they sort of helped this group?
Well, I think Courtney and Maddie, you know, we forget that they've been around some success. You know, last year, 21 wins, beat 4 nationally ranked teams. And then as freshmen, you know, they were part of a team that started 12-2 before some things got disrailed and beat a Division I team that year. So, you know, we as coaches, I think, often forget through osmosis what these players can learn, and I think those two are an example of it. They're wonderful teammates that put the team first. And then Allie's somebody who was very successful in Division III, you know, won a lot of games, had great individual accolades, and is, you know, mature. You know, this is her 6th year of college. She's in physician assistant program. You know, there's a lot there. And so I think that she brings a lot of those qualities just from a different light. And those 3 have really been important to our progress to this point.
You have some players who were young a year ago who have taken on maybe bigger roles, shown some growth this year. Christiane Fry, obviously, she was terrific as a freshman and was honored as such. Teresa Haig is back, Joy Burley. How has that group maybe improved from a year ago to this year?
Yeah, I think just being more experienced and being more mature. You know, all of those 3 people have dealt with ups and downs throughout their career and even this year. But I think their ability to sort of be more resilient and react to those is probably the thing you're most impressed with. And, you know, little eyes are watching, and I think those 3 understand that there are players now watching them. A year ago, they were the one watching the older players, and I think they're fully aware of that and how they handle things. And so, yeah, we've been fortunate to have that group, you know, be an important part of, you know, our progress forward.
Talking to Mark Katarski, head coach for the Seton Hill women's basketball team. Well, we knew it was going to be a big freshman class and a class that was probably going to need to contribute quite a bit from the get-go. It seems like they have delivered on that.
Yeah, and they're a group that, is varied in terms of their backgrounds, but also, a group that was very successful. And I think there are attributes that have allowed them to be ready to contribute right away. When we say it's a one-year team, what that means is we do not look at people's classes. We're going to do what we think helps the team the best. And so this group by no means got it just because they were freshmen or, whatever. They've kind of earned their way there for sure. And so I think it's been neat to see their development to this point. And you can see each game they're just getting a little more comfortable with the college speed, the college pace, the college intensity, and I think that's helping, their development.
When you talk about a one-year team, I think that really rings true because you think back a few years ago as a team predicated primarily on shooting three-pointers. Last year was great defense, although a little bit different of a defensive look. It seems like maybe defense will be paramount again this year. What do you think is the identity of this team to this point, and where could it ultimately end up?
Yeah, not being coy, I don't know if we know yet. In Puerto Rico, we made 15 threes and 10 threes in a game, made some big ones, kind of had that Seton Hill feel again that we were back there. But defensively, in the 8 games that we've won, teams have scored 61 or less. And if you remember a year ago, we had a crazy streak where teams were 60 or less for 12 or 13 straight games. So, there's elements of both of those there, but we also want to allow this team to find its own way. I think today is only the second time that we're going to have everybody healthy. So, that is a chance for you to just continue to learn about this group and who they are. And we've only played 2 conference games, which is always a big impact as well in your development. So, we want to allow them to have their own identity. I think last year's team, we didn't fully know who we were probably until this weekend. After the Shepherd win, it was sort of like, all right, we locked down to defend and we can do this. And, we need to allow this team to kind of have that time to develop as well.
Well, you mentioned the 2 conference games, 1 up, 1 down, but it's PSAC from here on out, including obviously the little break that you're going to have upcoming. So what's key to have success going forward? Yeah,
it's coach cliche, which you guys don't love, but it is truly one game at a time. And I think when you look at our conference, IUP seems to be out ahead from what I understand, but the rest has been a little topsy-turvy. And so with that, you have to make sure that every single game, regardless of the team's record, that you're just focused on playing it because they'll all stack up and add up at the end. We did an amazing job of that a year ago. Our players especially were so good at, regardless of the game they won or lost, just being in the building that day and not worrying about it the next game and trying to carry it over. And I think that comes with maturity, but that's also just the truth that each game counts as one, and the one that we're playing is the only one that we can worry about. So I think that's what becomes really, really important. And then along the way, if you do enough of those, hopefully you get a home game, maybe even a bye, things like that to help your path in the conference tournament. But I think that's really important for us, and to not wait around. Just because we have young players, we can't wait around for another year to try to do it. We have an opportunity this year, and we have to make the most of it.
Lastly, in recent seasons, primarily more wins than losses. You've had a lot of success in the conference ledger as well. For this year, for this team, what would you consider a successful campaign?
Boy, again, I'll be coy to you, but I don't know that there's a number on it. I think anytime you can extend your season and keep your team together longer, that's important. And so for us, that would be making the playoffs and then trying to go from there. I think anytime that you can make the playoffs and extend your season is probably the thing. I think for this group, just figuring out who we are and then rallying behind that and seeing if we can do that consistently. I just don't know that we're there quite yet. And hopefully we can find that out and then just roll with it. Again, not putting pressure on them or comparing, but last year we were able to do that as well as any year that we've been around. And I think that that's what made last year as enjoyable as the wins and losses, which just we knew who we were every night. We knew what we were going to get, and we did it. And hopefully we can get there this year. That really frees up both the players and the coaches to just be themselves and be their best when they know that you're every night who you are and what you're going to do. And it's a really fun way to live.
Well, Mark, I appreciate the time. As always, good to catch up with you, and good luck the rest of the way.
Yeah, and the biggest luck needs to go to Kelly and Dan on the arrival of their son, Landon. Congratulations to them. Being a parent, I remember our head coach at Niagara had her first child when my first year there, and then the second one in the second year. But she said it's sort of like a club that until you do it, you don't fully understand it. And, of course, me being me, I was like, that's not true. But I remember 30 seconds after Jayla was born being like, wow, this is different.
You're in the club now.
I know. And so I genuinely do congratulate Dan and Kelly. Kelly, a former player of mine all those years ago at Derry Middle School. And it's really a miracle anytime healthy children are born. And Landon's fortunate to have two parents that are wonderful people. So we congratulate them. And then it's Hanukkah tonight for our family. So all those celebrating Hanukkah, certainly wish them a happy Hanukkah, and for everyone, happy holidays as well.
Absolutely. That's Mark Katarski. We'll take a break and continue right here on the Westmoreland Sports Network.